Okay. Today we're gonna talk about gears. Remember, last time we have the contrast. Let me open the old slide. We have the contrast between gears. What are the other twos? What are the other two way of transmission? Anybody remember?
Chain sama belt, Pak.
Chain and belt, correct. So let's see, where did I put that? Probably belts. Yeah, so you have gears, belts, and chain. Every one of them have their own advantage and disadvantage. Gears are typically accurate, high transmission capacity, and then you have the belts, more quiet. Chain, high capacity, but also can be stretched over a long center to center distance. So you when you have the motor, like conveyor belt, for example, right? I mean, the two pulleys are so far apart. I mean, there is no way you put gears that big of a gear. So this is called the center to center distance. Also give additional contrast here, right? Center to center distance. For gear, you got to be close. And usually, I mean, gearboxes are meant to be compact. In fact, you do want it compact. I mean, when people use gear, they do not expect a big, long center to center distance. Usually, the goal is already compact. I mean, that is the goal of using gears many times. So when you make gears, then you want it compact. That's one of the reasons why we have planetary gear sets, for example. Those are one of the reasons they use a planetary gear set is that it's compact. Okay. So so let's start talking about gears. Okay. I'm taking this from KHK. KHK, I think, is a Japanese company. They got this nice introduction to gears. I take snips from that catalog. Okay, here you have a nice representation of different types of gears. You got the bevel gear, you got the helical gear, you got the worm gear, right? This is the worm gear. This is the rack and pinion. It's used to convert linear to rotary. Okay, we'll talk about these. Okay, gears are one of the oldest mechanism because see, with belts, and probably true for chain, you need some complexity of rubber. You need to invent rubber, right? And then you have to know how to mold rubber with steel belts together, make it flexible but also strong. I guess they use leather in the old days as belts, but then you go into rubber belts, more sophisticated belts. They're invented later on. Gears are pretty old, right? I mean, they say it's 350 BC, 2,300 years ago. Yeah, these are the one of the oldest concept of gears here. You see the tooth, it's not exactly in a shape that is, involute. That's the proper shape of a gear. It's called an involute. Okay, here is the modern gear with the proper shape. The one that is most common you see when we talk about gears is really spur gear. That's the term, okay? When you say regular gear, that means spur gear. Many times though, like in transmissions, we use helical gear. In car transmissions, I should say, okay? Car transmissions, the forward motion mostly use helical gear. You remember the video that we watched? you see that the gears are not straight like this. The gears are slanted at an angle. And the purpose of this angle is to create smooth transition. Okay, we'll talk about each one of these. But this is just to give you an overview, like a menu, so-called. Here's a helical gear, but it's double. Now, the purpose is to counter the axial reaction, okay? Because when you have helical gear, depending whether it's a right hand or a left hand, you can use a left hand rule or right hand rule, it's actually gonna tend to slide in the axial direction as it applies torque to the other gear. It's gonna want to slide in the axial direction. That is a problem, right? Well, it's not a problem. I mean, you need to put a thrust bearing on it. But know that in a spur gear, when you apply torque, there is no axial motion. No axial motion. While in helical gear, you do have axial motion. This is one of the reasons you do then have a double helical gear, because then their axial reaction counters each other, equal and opposite, just like the angular bearings, right? When you have angular bearings, you have this axial reaction that goes against each other. So you just put them in an arrangement called, anybody remember what that arrangement is called when you put a bearing back to back?
Duplex ya, Pak?
Duplex, correct. It's called duplexing. So when you put them opposite to one another, their axial counters each other, and you don't have to put an additional support or press fit on that shaft. Here is a similar case, right? I mean, you got the advantage of a helical gear, but it's not going to slide. Now, the second row here gives you a gear arrangement that is not coaxial. Here it's coaxial, right? I mean, if you think about it, if this is the axis and then you have another gear, right? Their axis is parallel. Here, their axis is intersecting and perpendicular. It doesn't have to be perpendicular, but the arrangement is at an angle. Obviously, they are not coaxial. So you can change direction of rotation as well as the ratio. You see with the mitre gear here, it's 1-to-1 ratio, right? You're just changing direction. The bevel gear, you got the straight one, like a spur gear, and then you got the spiral one, which is like a helical gear. It has the smoothness of a helical gear in a 90-degree arrangement. Here is an internal gear, but you rarely use it just like this. You do this in a planetary arrangement. Okay, so this is the internal gear here. The sun and the planets, we'll talk about that. Worm gear, they also are not parallel, right? The axes are not parallel. They also do not intersect, but the uniqueness is that it can give you a really large ratio. Okay, this worm gear, one rotation, okay, if the, what do they call that? The number of start or the number of lead, okay? If the pitch is one gear from the worm to the gear, this is called the worm, this is called the gear, okay? Then one rotation on the worm translates to only one gear, one tooth on the big ratio, right? Let's say your gear has 20 tooth, right? One rotation on the worm gives you only a single tooth. So the ratio is 1-to-20. And if you make this slightly larger, let's say 50 teeth, then you have a situation where you can have 1-to-50. I mean, in order to achieve this in a spur gear, right? If you want to achieve this on a spur gear in a single step, a tiny gear, right? Let's say this tiny gear has 10 teeth. In order to have a ratio of 1 to 20, the other gear has to have how many teeth? You guessed it.
200.
200. I mean, I don't even know what the diameter will be, right? I mean, if this is, let's say, 2 cm lah, ya kan? Kalau ini radiusnya di sini 2 cm, di sini 2 kali 20. 40 cm. Bayangin, gear 2 cm, yang sininya segede 40 cm. Kind of ridiculous. In fact, you run into other type of problems, which we will talk about later on. It's called gear interference. So that's why the worm gear here is a really nice arrangement. You can have a really large ratio without having all these awkward, huge gears. Rack and pinion here is a unique gear set, I should say, converts rotation to linear. This is what you have on your steering wheel, okay? In your car, you have the steering wheel rotating, and then you translate into left and right motion. This is how your wheels are turned. There's other linkages called the Ackermann steering linkage, but either way, the rack moves left and right. If you want to peek behind the front wheel, there is ada tuasnya ya. There's a rod that then push the wheel, make it turn. In your steering wheel, you rotate, right? So you have a rack and pinion mechanism there, down at the steering rack. That's why we call it steering rack. Pretty expensive stuff if you messed it up, but usually not, okay? It's, again, gears are typically very reliable. I mean, they are just, they last forever. If you have to do maintenance on your steering rack on your car, it's usually the seals, right? It's probably some kind of accessories, maybe some holding parts, some bushings, but not the gear itself that is worn out. Okay, gears are usually very overbuilt and they just don't break. Okay, other parts will break first before them. So that's one of the great stuff about gears. Let's talk about them here. Yeah, I have this slide actually. Parallel axis, right? So spur gear, parallel axis. Here is a different configuration. Again, rotation and linear. This is called rack and pinion. The bottom one is called the rack. The gear here is called the pinion. Oke, ada juga yang bilang kalau di gear set yang spur gear seperti ini ya, yang kecil itu pinion, yang besar itu gear. Okay, these are just terminologies, but you should be familiar with them because sometimes you go into a catalog and it says if the pinion teeth is so and so and the gear teeth is so and so, and then what is pinion? What is gear? I mean, I thought all of them are gears. Actually, sometimes they call the small one the pinion, and oftentimes it's the pinion that you drive because. Remember, in many electrical motors, your motor is high RPM, low torque. And then you want to multiply the torque. So you have a reduction in speed and an increase in torque. So that's why oftentimes, not always again, but often, you rotate the smaller gear, the pinion, and then drive a big one, which is called the gear. Okay, just a hint on terminologies if you get confused. Okay, look at the bottom here. Parallel axis gears, got spur gear, helical gear, rack. The rack can also be straight or helical. Here is a straight rack, right? You can also have a helical rack. Jadi gearnya itu kayak helical gear, ya. Racknya juga miring-miring. Itu juga bisa. You got intersecting axis gears here, the bevel. Miter is just a 1-to-1 ratio bevel gear. Okay, you got the straight bevel gear, got the spiral bevel gear. Hold on, I need to get some tissue. I got my allergies today. Untungnya bukan batuk-batuk atau sesak nafas ya. So, okay, we got the straight bevel gear. What's that?
Yang penting badan nggak panas.
Iya, yeah, demam. Anak saya sempat demam tuh.
Demam tinggi, batuk, sesak napas itu baru tanda-tanda.
Iya, anak saya sempat demam tuh. Untungnya cuma semalam. Dan besoknya hilang.
Emang sampai berapa derajat, Pak? Sampai 40 ada?
Enggak, cuma 38, 37 lebih lah.
Itu lumayan tinggi, Pak.
Yeah, but it's gone the next day. I guess somehow all these little kids is somehow immune to COVID. It's really weird because usually kids are the most susceptible for flu. Kalau kayak flu Singapura gitu kan anak kecil tuh gampang banget dapetnya. But somehow this special category flu, they are immune. It's a good thing. Anyways, okay, back to gears. Straight bevel gear. You see these efficiency numbers, by the way? I mean, these gears are very, very efficient. Power loss is really, really low. In fact, in your car transmission, the engine transmission, a lot of the losses is due to churning the oil. Churning the oil has greater power loss than the gear inefficiency itself. Yeah, amazing, right? Bearings, probably your bearings have some power loss, but not the gears. Gears are pretty nice.
Pak, saya mau nanya dong, Pak.
Yeah.
Yang miter gear itu bisa dalam bentuk spiral atau straight, Pak, biasanya?
Bisa spiral. Nah ini spiral bevel gear.
Oh, oke, Pak.
Ya, jadi spiral itu jadi seperti gear tadi yang ini ada yang straight, lalu ada yang helical. Ini juga sama. Ada yang straight, ada yang helical, cuman mereka bilangnya spiral ya. But it's the same concept here. You got the smooth power transition. Reverse gear kamu itu straight, by the way. Ingat ya video kemarin, I don't know whether I highlighted or not, tapi kalau kamu lagi gigi 1, 2, 3, 4, itu helical gear. Gigi mundur kamu spur gear. Notice the noise when you go back, go in reverse.
Dia gara-gara ada, apa namanya, idle gear ya, Pak, namanya?
Bukan, tapi karena gearnya itu tipenya yang spur gear. I don't know why they do it, maybe cost. But your reverse gear is not a helical gear. And you can hear the sound, right? If you go fast enough, some of you might be a bit adventurous, kayak mau jadi Fast and Furious gitu. Mundurnya kencang. And then you hear the sound, right? So,
itu dari spur gearnya, Pak? Beda kan?
Because the reverse gear type is a spur gear. Kalau yang forward motion, gigi 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, itu semua helical. Jadi helical are noiseless. Well, helicals are quiet. Spur gear are noisy. Makanya dibikin spiral itu, bevel gear juga sama. Di belakang kalian yang rear wheel drive, di belakang ada differential.
Iya, Pak.
Ya,
Hmm.
jadi ada center shaft. Ini truk-truk kan juga semua ada differential kan?
Garden tengah.
Right, this is your engine, transmission, and then keluar center shaft. Di belakang ada yang namanya differential. We can talk about it later if you have time. Okay, it splits the incoming torque to left and right. Di dalamnya basically spiral bevel gear. Jadi masuk T kan, 90 derajat kan? Masuk terus pecah kan? It's a spiral bevel gear. Screw gear, not that common here. It's crossed helical gear. Now the efficiency you see is a bit low, depending on the ratio. Kalau rasionya makin besar, efisiensinya bukan ratio sih. I think it's the angle. Okay, the more extreme the angle, the lower the efficiency. Worm gear, less efficient because you got a lot of friction going. Okay. By the way, worm is often also used for if I rotate this to rotation, remember di sini geraknya cuma satu teeth kan, dikit banget. So I can actually have a really nice adjustment thing, right? So if you need any mechanism that needs like a very fine adjustment, then you have this knob or motor adjusting it, then you can have a really, really, micro adjustments because of this worm mechanism. One more unique feature from this worm gear, by the way, it is not back drivable. Okay, it is not back drivable. Oke, jadi kalau kamu punya spur gear kayak gini, kenapa?
Maksudnya
What's your question?
Back drivable, Pak.
Ya, jadi kalau kamu punya spur gear biasa seperti ini, if I drive it from the pinion to the gear, I can also drive it from the gear to the pinion, ya nggak? Jadi kalau saya putar inputnya, ini outputnya, saya putar outputnya, inputnya juga muter kan? So I can go both ways. In fact, if I have a gear ratio of 1 to 3, basically I can do 1 to 3 or I can do 3 to 1, depending which shaft I use as the input. Correct? Not so with worm. Saya bisa putar ini bisa jadi input, ini output. Tapi saya nggak bisa jadiin ini input dan ini output. Nggak bisa kebalik. Itu maksudnya not back drivable. Jadi kalau ada sesuatu yang nyangkut misalnya on the output, you have to reverse the motor. You cannot just take the arms on the output and then twist and drive the motor back. Ngerti ya? Jadi kalau many gears are back drivable. Motornya memutar input, keluar output, outputnya kamu putar, memutar input. For example, this might be, mungkin generasi kalian udah jarang melihat ini, tapi kalau mobil mogok, didorong, ya kan? What are you doing? Waktu kamu dorong mobil mogok untuk starter, akinya habis.
Dinetralin, Pak. Iya.
Netral kalau kamu menggeser mobilnya. Tapi kalau
satu di kopling full, Pak.
di kopling kan?
Iya.
Di kopling supaya detach dulu ya. Nanti begitu kamu lepas kopling, you are attaching the whole thing. That means you are driving the wheel and then you back drive it to the engine. Ya kan? Jadi bukan engine yang drive the wheels. Kalau kamu dorong mobil mogok untuk starter, ini masih manual transmission ya. Kamu masuk gigi 2 lah biasa, gigi 1 terlalu berat ya. Karena gigi 1 nanti rotationnya di engine terlalu besar. You want to do gear 3 or gear second gear or third gear. Ya, I usually do second gear. Jadi kamu dorong, koplingnya diinjak, koplingnya dilepas, plates-nya attached. Jadi sekarang momentum dari mobil itu yang menggerakkan engine-nya lalu menstarter engine-nya kan? Karena aki kamu habis, for example. Itu namanya back drivable. Jadi sekarang bukan engine yang drive the wheel drives the engine. Gitu. Worm gear nggak bisa, ya, karena the nature of the geometry, you can probably a little bit imagine it, ya kan? Kalau kamu putar gearnya, you're not gonna putar wormnya karena rasionya terlalu tinggi itu. Oke? This is another application is also if you think about emergency. By the way, let me show you something. Saya sama teman-teman di teaching assistant sama technician kita lagi bikin emergency ventilators buat kalau krisis COVID ini hospital overwhelmed. And we're using rack and pinion. Let me show you the design just for fun. Nah, satu application di mana kita nggak boleh pakai worm gear itu di sini. New share. Oke, kelihatan nggak? So the concept of this ventilator is basically kalian tahu embu bag nggak? Itu ada balon di atas ini. Oh, di pause screen sharingnya. Kalian lihat nggak fotosnya?
Lihat foto dong.
Kelihatan Pak, kecil banget.
Apa
Ini
banget?
kecil Pak, kecil.
Udah
Nah, ini
Pak,
udah.
udah
Nah,
Pak.
ini mendingan, ini gedean.
Udah gedean ya. Nah, ini nih ada bag sebenarnya. Nah, bag ini buat emergency bikin nafas buatan itu loh. Ventilation until orangnya di-connect ke ventilator mesin untuk bantu dia nafas. Nah, COVID itu kan penyebab kematiannya sesak nafas kan. Jadi, I might have a better view yang rack and pinion-nya kelihatan. Jadi mesin ini akan mengkompres ambu bag ini secara semi otomatis. So that's what I've been working on sama tim. Jadi let me just share to you my WhatsApp. Ini agak distracted dikit ya, nggak apa-apa ya. Seru nih proyeknya. Oke, kalian kelihatan WhatsApp saya ya?
Kelihatan
Ya.
Pak.
Ya, ini ambu bag-nya. Jadi ambu bag itu adalah bag yang dipakai di rumah sakit buat emergency. It will pump your lungs and put oxygen into your lungs. Sementara sambil nunggu kamu di-attach ke ventilators yang bakal do the pumping on your lungs automatically for 24 hours. Nah, tapi ventilators they're running out of ventilators. Kalau kalian dengar Presiden Trump di Amerika aja udah suruh pabrik mobil bikin ventilators karena we are running out and we cannot get up to capacity as soon as possible. We're racing against time. Nah, salah satu solusinya kayak di MIT, di banyak university ini lagi bikin ini. Jadi apa alat yang kita bisa pakai untuk kompres ambu bag ini? Ambu is just name of a company yang dulu bikin nih barang. Ya, makanya dibilang ambu bag. Ya, ini dipencet lalu bisa kasih ventilation. Nah, ini ada ada one way valve-nya, keren banget. One way valve-nya ini dia push air into your lungs, tapi waktu kita exhale dia keluar lewat jalur yang berbeda. Nah, ada valve kayak gini nih. Kalian kelihatan ya? Nah, ini jadi this duct valve ya, annotation-nya kok nggak jalan. Annotate. Drop. Jadi angin dari sini masuk ke bawah. Tapi kalau kamu exhale, ini keluar ke samping. Itu ada one way valve-nya. But what I wanted to show you mana ya? Nah, ini. So our first design itu ada rack and pinion. Jadi tengahnya muter, bawahnya ini motors, terus dia ngompres. Jadi kalau dia rotate one way, dia ngompres. Bisa bayangin nggak?
Bisa, Pak.
Ya, so it's a rack and pinion mechanism. Nah, kita sempat pikir mau pakai worm drive, ngejepit, atau gimana gitu ya. Tapi masalahnya, salah satu requirement-nya kalau medical device adalah emergency. You have to always think about safety, right? Nah, kalau kenapa-napa, ini mesin nggak jalan, ambu bag ini harus langsung bisa diangkat, lalu dipakai tangan lagi gitu, mompanya. Kalau dia lagi posisi ngejepit, and then let's say the battery runs out, atau Arduino-nya fail, whatever, keluarinnya itu susah kan? Armnya kita mau buka nggak bisa. Nah, itu karena tidak back drivable. Nah, rack and pinion ini bisa. So one of the requirement, any mechanism that we use here has to be back drivable, gitu. That's what I wanted to say. Ngerti ya? So, yeah, it's a fun project. We're working on that. Kalau ada yang mau bantu-bantu, let me know. We can always use additional help. So that's the notion of back drivability. Yeah. Here's a drill. Inside it, there is this planetary gear system. You got the sun, very small here. It goes in. This is the sun. These three are the planets. And these are the planets. And then you have the internal gear. And then you have the carrier. Nanti saya kasih lihat mekanisme-mekanismenya pakai video ya. Speed ratio. We talked about this a little bit last time kayaknya. Ya. Intinya the speed ratio for gears can be calculated using the number of teeth. Very simple. Jadi kalau number of teeth di sini 10, di sini 20, ya rasionya 2:1. Yang mana yang antara yang kuning dan yang biru, mana yang speed-nya tinggi?
Gear 1, Pak.
Gear 1 high speed, gear 2 low speed ya. What about the torque?
20
Dua
lebih
lebih
gede torque ya?
besar.
20 bukan lebih gede torque-nya ya?
Lebih gede torque karena dia low speed. Low speed, high torque, high speed, low torque. As simple as that. Jadi kalian harus selalu mikir yang kecil, kalau dalam gear ya, yang kecil itu high speed. dalam arrangement kayak gini. Ya. Yang kecil itu muternya pasti lebih cepat daripada yang besar. Dan selalu yang lebih kritis itu yang kecil. Oke? Karena dia lebih lemah biasanya. Nanti kita bakal get to the calculation. Dalam belt pulley system juga seperti itu. Karena belt yang kecil ini nempel beltnya lebih kecil, lebih sedikit. Kemungkinan dia selip lebih besar kan? Kalau yang di sini kan kontak dari beltnya kan lebih panjang. Jadi kemungkinan selipnya di belt di pulley yang besar lebih kecil. Jadi you rarely worry about the big guy. You worry about the small guy. Nanti di calculation kita juga yang menjadi limiting factor itu the small gear or the pinion they say. Oke. Jadi ini kalau 10 banding 20, 10 teeth, 20 teeth, perbandingan gearnya dan RPM-nya 2:1. Torque-nya 2:1. Ya, speed-nya 1:2, torque-nya 2:1 gitu ya. Very simple. Now, what if you want to do a bigger ratio with spur gear or helical gear? You can do what is called a two-stage gear train. Okay? Jadi, let's say this is your input. Yeah. This is your output. That the rotation is reduced on the first stage, ya, dari gear 1, gear 2, gear 3, gear 4. Okay? So 1 ke 2 ada torque multiplication dan speed reduction kan? 2 ke 3 tidak terjadi apa-apa. Because they are connected at the same shaft. Oke? Dari gear 1 ke 2 terjadi torque multiplication and speed reduction. 2 ke 3 nothing happens. But they rotate together dan gear 3 ke 4 terjadi lagi torque multiplication dan speed reduction. So this is a two-stage gear train. What happens is you have misalnya di sini N1 10, N2 misalnya 20, N3 misalnya 5, N4-nya misalnya 15. Jadi kita kalikan 1/2 kali 1/3. Total kita dapat rasio 1:6. Okay? So, math is pretty simple. Whatever ratio at the first stage, you multiply that with the second stage, you got the final total ratio. Any question on this? So this is a typical gearbox. Ya.
Udah 5
Very
gear, Pak.
Ya, ya.
Kalau ada 5 gear. Kayak ada tambahin 1 gitu di...
Kenapa Billy?
Kalau ditambahin 1 lagi bisa nggak tuh? Kalau
Bisa,
ditambahin 1
bisa.
lagi jadi 5.
Bisa jadi 3 stage. Bisa. Jadi kamu tambahin aja di belakangnya nomor 4 ini gear 5 ke gear 6. Tapi posisinya nggak bisa di sini lagi ya karena kebentok sama shaft ini kan. Jadi mungkin posisinya ke samping sini lagi, ke sebelah kiri. Gitu. Atau ke atas atau ke bawah.
Oke.
Kalau kamu lihat beberapa motor yang super tiny and the ratio is super high, coba ya, saya cari Tokped. Cannot find it now, but Where is my... Okay. Hah. Oh, ini dia. Oke, ini contoh worm gear ya. Kelihatan kan motornya dari vertical, lalu shaft outputnya ke samping, itu most likely worm gear. Mungkin ada additional tambahan other gears inside. Yang tadi saya mau kasih lihat yang multiple ini ya. Nah, yang kayak gini nih. Ini setahu saya dia multiplication-nya bisa 3 kali. Oke. It's a bit small. Kelihatan ya? Jadi ini kalau saya tebak ya, 1, 2, 3, 4 kayaknya. Possibly 4 kali. So 4 stage. Ya rasionya bisa besar banget. Bisa di 100 kali. Ya, kamu bisa lakukan ini pakai planetary atau worm, tapi sometimes you want it to be coaxial kan. Sometimes you want the output and the input to be on the same axis. Kayak contoh yang di sini. Ya. Kamu lihat masuknya kan di sini. Keluarnya di sini juga kan? Kalian lihatnya PowerPoint slide saya kan? Ya ya. Hello?
Iya, Pak.
Ya. Kadang-kadang saya screen share-nya takut messed up. Oke. Di sini kamu lihat inputnya sama outputnya satu garis. Oke, let's talk about helical gear. The helical gear has this axial reaction. That's what I want to talk about in this case. Here is some advantages on helical gear. Okay, it's on the slide. It has more strength because at one point your contact itu lebih banyak daripada 1 atau 2. Kalau kamu punya spur gear, waktu spur gear ini contact, ya, yang in contact itu hanya sedikit. Now remember, pressure is force divided by area. The greater the area, the better spread out your pressure is, right? So the better it is. In helical gear, you come into contact here. Okay, notice the contact. Not only is the contact smooth, but you are contacting multiple teeth at the same time. Therefore, your the is more. Therefore, you have the force capacity. Okay, you can do this in each. You have to consider the axial thrust force. Okay, you need to cope with these forces. That's what you need to be aware of. Now, look at the bottom diagram. You got right hand or left hand gears. Okay, you have right hand or left hand gears. On the top, you got the right hand gears like this. Jadi kalau right hand itu kayak buka tutup botol ya. Kalau kamu buka tutup botol aqua, ke arah mana?
Kanan, Pak.
Buka counterclockwise. Ya kan? Kalau botolnya berdiri, kamu buka Counterclockwise, tutupnya kemana? Ke atas, ya kan? Kalau kamu count clockwise, tutupnya ke bawah. That's called right, ya kan? Jadi sekrup yang right hand itu kan seperti itu. Kamu putar clockwise, dia turun, right? Kamu counter clockwise, dia naik. So you have this right hand rule. Just follow the fingers, wrap around it, and that's the direction. Wrap around it, that's the right direction. Helical. Jadi kalau kamu bayangin, ya, yang right hand gear, kamu putar ke kanan, dia maunya ke atas. Left hand gear terbalik. Di right hand gear, matchingnya sekarang lihat yang bawah. Drive and driven. Drive means the driving gear. Jadi drive itu artinya motor kamu di sini. Driven artinya load kamu di sini. Ya, jadi kalau ini input, ini output. Kamu mulai dari inputnya. Notice bearing-bearing ini ya. Saya mesti ganti warna kayaknya. Ini bearingnya ya, yang biru. Thrust bearing. Jadi ini kan driving, right hand. Jadi the first question you ask yourself, right hand atau left hand? Inputnya, at the input. Ya, drive. Dia right hand, berarti gearnya mau ke sini. Hopefully camera saya tulis saya di sini. Oh, jadi begini, dia mau ke kanan. Artinya bearingnya harus tahan di sebelah sini. Di sini sebaliknya. Jadi kamu lihatnya inputnya, ya. Lalu kamu follow right hand or left hand. Jadi the first question you ask adalah look at the input. Look at the input. Is it a right hand or left hand gear? And then you just follow that. And that's the motion you have to counter. Ada pertanyaan nggak? Okay, is everybody still here?
Masih Pak, masih Pak.
Iya, Pak.
Okay. Jadi kalau di yang sebelah kiri ini rotationnya ke atas ya. Lihat bolpen biru saya. Maunya geraknya ke situ kan? Right hand rule. Karena ini right hand gear. Berarti saya taruh bearingnya di sini. On the driven, it's always the opposite. Jadi kamu tinggal taruh opposite aja. Jadi bingung kalau drive-nya atau in di sini okay, use your left hand. ke kanan ya. Begini, ke sini kan. Jadi saya taruh supportnya di sebelah sini. Look at the input again. Here, left hand. Okay. Karena saya melihat layar saya ya, kamu harus peragain sendiri, kayak kamu sendiri punya tangan. Saya punya mungkin terbalik. Jadi saya mesti support di sini. Drivennya ya terbalik, gitu aja gampang. Tapi look at the input. Okay, you're responsible to be able to draw these reactions in the quiz. Okay, any questions? All right. Internal gears. Now, the way we use internal gears is more on in the context of planetary gear system. Let me play a video. Let's do a video on planetary gears. Oke, saya kirim via chat ya. Okay, internet's bit slow. Okay. Go ahead and play the video. It is almost 5 minutes, so let's talk 5 minutes from now. Go ahead and click. Oh, ini kagak tuh. Oh ya, to everyone. Okay, hold on. Okay, does everyone got the link? Di chat ya. Okay. Go ahead and play the video. 5 minutes. Udah ya? Saya coba jelasin beberapa hal di sini. Okay, everybody's done? Can you respond?
Udah, Pak.
Ya Pak, udah.
Okay. So the planetary gear set. Okay, you got the sun. Ini saya lagi screen share browser saya ya, kelihatan ya?
Iya, Pak.
Okay, I need to annotate. Let me use yellow. Okay. Okay, so here is the sun, the planet, and the ring. The red one here is called the carrier. It's called the planet carrier. You have a few options which one you want to be the input and the output, right? Depending which one you fix, then you select the ratio. So if you fix the ring gear, then your sun is the input, the carrier is the output. You can do that. You cannot use the planet as the output, by the way, right? Think about it. Because the planets are moving. So you cannot tap into the RPM of the planet. So your options are, basically you have three options. You can do sun as the input, carrier as the output, ring is fixed. Or you can fix the carrier, right? Let me write it on the side here. Sun, carrier, and ring, right? You fix the ring, sun is the input, carrier is the output. How do I erase? Okay. If you fix the carrier, the sun is the input and the ring is the output. Or you can fix the sun. No, you fix the planet and then everything rotates together. Okay, that's the third mode. I have another video on that, so it's not this one. Let's see. No, I showed that one. No, that's pretty much what I want to show. Okay, those are the three modes. I remember I have one more video on that ratios. Let me check real quick.
When it comes to, in the coming sessions, we will see how this is the second clutch.
Oh, you watched
applied,
this.
the
You
ring
watched.
gear will
You already watched the automatic transmission. How you lock one or the other. Okay. So we can do the calculation on planetary gear sets later. So for now, let's move on to the types of gears. I want to finish that today. But before that, let's take a quick break. Okay. Now it's 11:28. Let's come back around 11:40. Okay. Be back at 11:40.
Pak, saya mau nanya
Oke,
dong, Pak.
Pak, siapa?
Ya.
Tadi advantage tentang yang helical gear itu saya sempat putus-putus, Pak.
Oke. Advantage helical gear. Ini screen share saya udah balik ke PowerPoint kan ya?
Udah, Pak.
Okay. So it has more strength, and the reason it has more strength is because you have multiple gears in contact at the same time. Multiple tooth, I should say. Ya. Jadi kalau spur gear kontaknya kan begini. Karena dia miring, ya, dia ada multiple gear yang bisa in contact at the same time. Jadi it has greater capacity. You can do high-speed rotation also because it's less noisy, less vibration. Those are the two main advantage of helical gear.
Kalau tentang main-main rasionya, Pak?
Kenapa?
Tentang rasionya gimana, Pak?
Sama aja, jumlah teeth-nya adalah rasionya.
Oke, Pak.
Jadi dia secara rasio sama kayak straight gears. In many cases, you will do helical instead of straight if you're worried about noise. Oke, mungkin kita break dulu. Ntar kalau ada question kita bisa resume lagi. Oke. Yeah, so your helical rack. Dia nggak exactly helical, but it's straight, slanted, right? You see the teeth are at an angle. You got left hand, right hand. This also creates a thrust, okay? Look at the bottom here. There is the drive, meaning the input. In this case, the input is almost always the pinion, ya. The pinion, kalau dia left hand pinion, ya kan? Use your left hand. Okay? So, karena dia begini, thrustnya ke atas. Di sini juga sama, right hand. Thrustnya ke atas, thrustnya ke bawah. In the picture. So, same rules. Just use your right hand or left hand, depending what the input is, not the output. Here's your straight bevel gear. This is common in spiral bevel gear, to be precise. Is common in your differentials because you want it to be quiet too, right? So the differential also have something else, and we'll talk about that maybe before we end our session here. But here's the spiral bevel gear. The ratio is also the same. Oh, who wants to say what is the ratio of the helical rack? How do you calculate the ratio? Or the straight rack? Any guess? How do you calculate the ratio of a rack and pinion drive? Siapa yang mau jelasin?
Satu banding satu bukan?
Apa tuh maksudnya 1:1?
Jadi kalau di ya itu Pak. Kayak dia nggak ada rasio buat ngurangin atau gedein, dia cuman apa tuh full ngubah dari gerakan angular ke translasi doang.
Oke.
Kan paling dia pengaruh sama pitch-nya doang, Pak.
Oke.
Dimana
Berarti
pitch-nya kan
rasionya
harus sama. One by
kalau
one.
kita ngomong rasio, jadi bukan lagi unitless ya, bukan lagi 1:3 atau 1:4, tapi kita ngomongnya dia bergerak
Rotasi panjangnya.
bergerak panjangnya berapa untuk satu rotasi, ya kan? Dan itu tergantung dari
Jumlah giginya di yang bulat di gear.
okay, the pitch is the distance between the tooth. We haven't talked about that, but basically one rotation itu adalah circumference ya. So the translation, oh, I have it here. The translation in one turn is the circumference 2 pi r, right? The circumference of the pinion is the translation in one turn. So if the radius say is 30 millimeters, then you got 2 pi times 30. That is the circumference. This is per revolution. Played it this way. They can be in a different angle, by the way. I rarely see them though. Not that common, but that they can be at a 45-degree angle. Okay, same as the contrast between helical and straight gears. The spiral bevel gear compared to the straight bevel gear, they can do high load, they can do high RPM. In general, they're better than straight bevel gears. Okay. It's quiet, just like helical. All right. Manufacturing probably a bit more expensive, but they got the advantages. The screw gear, You see the axis can be at weird arrangement like this. There are applications. I don't see too many of them. Lubrication is important, just like worm gear. Okay, lubrication is important because there's a lot of friction going on. Here's your worm gear. You got right hand and left hand. Right hand, left hand, mostly right hand though. Okay, so you see you have the reactions here, right? So if you the thrust bearing, okay, so you got right hand helical. It wants to move this way. Rotation is this way, okay, this way. So the thrust is this way. Oops. You got the bearings here. So just use your right hand or left hand on the input there. And in the case of worm gear, the input is always the worm. Gears can be made out of several different materials, ferrous metals, non-ferrous, like bronze, aluminum bronze, plastics, very common. When you have low load, really nice, right? Doesn't take as much lubrication because they're usually pretty low friction. A gear tooth, you can break gear tooth here because what do you call this thing? Remember, whenever you have a sharp point like this, what do you call them?
Stress concentration.
Stress concentration, correct. Okay. When you have contact like this, it's also stress concentration, but when you have bending, again, here's the stress concentration. Usually you put in a bit radius. Tooth accuracy is important in manufacturing. The tooth profile, the line here is also needs to be straight. Tooth contact in the middle instead of at the edge. This has to do with your alignments between the shaft and the center distance. Okay. Run out. You remember run out, right? Ini tidak konsentris ya lubangnya. Jadi waktu gearnya rotate dia begini. That's bad. So these are the manufacturing and assembly tolerance you should take into account. The way you cut your gears are using gear hops. Okay. I have a YouTube video I can send. Gear hop animation. Let's see. This might be good.
Subscribe AMA might.
This is 5 minutes. Why don't I just do it via screen share? So it's more efficient. You see that? This is the YouTube I'm sharing.
Belum, Pak. Oh, udah, Pak, sekarang.
So the way you manufacture gears, first you start with this big piece, right? Let's see, let me skip some of these. There. You got this cutter trying to cut the gears. So is cutting the gear tooth. In straight gears, it's easy, but in helical gears, you gotta move the shaft while you're cutting. Yeah, a lot of lubrication. You see the gear tooth is starting to form. And then eventually it gets to this. So these are the gear cutters. It's called a gear hop. And you got your gear like that. So this is called the gear hop. Plastic gears, you do injection molding, obviously. You got sintered metal too. Now here's your powder metals packed together, and then you put it in an oven. So they sinter, meaning like they melt and they bond. Okay, they bond, becomes a solid piece. It's a bit porous, but the good thing about this, you can mix in your lubrication too, right? So let's say you're making a bronze and then you want to mix in some carbon or other lubricants, you can manufacture it together. So as the gear kind of wears out, you got the lubrication in for dry applications.
Ini kayak dicetak berarti, Pak?
Iya, dicetak, betul. Jadi kalau yang powder metallurgy dicetak. Dicetak lalu dimatengin gitu kan.
Ya, Pak.
Not as strong as the machine gears, but can be pretty good. Kalau yang di machining tadi itu yang solid ya, jauh lebih kuat ya. But for tiny pieces, high volume production, powder metallurgy is often the manufacturing method. Size of gears, so the tooth itself has sizes and they're called module, right? M1, M2. The greater the module number, the greater the size of the tooth and the greater the capacity. The shape of the gear tooth is actually a spatial shape. It's called the involute, okay? They make contact along the line. This is called the pressure line. Oops. Okay, it's a bit tough. There. That's your pressure line. So your gear will always make contact along this pressure line. If your gear tooth shape is not exactly an involute, they will not have this straight pressure line, which becomes a problem because then your torque transfer is not constant. Here's a bit clearer. Okay. Here's the involute profile. The way you do this is, think of this, think of a wheel, and then you wrap this with a benang. Ya. Let's say yang merah ini benang ya. Lalu benangnya itu kamu keluarin. Oke, jadi kalau ada roll benang, gulungan benang, lalu kamu ambil ujungnya. Kamu ambil ujungnya. And then you go out dari gulungan itu. Itulah shape involute. Ya, jadi ini benangnya kamu tarik. Nah, that is the shape of the involute, which will give you the constant pressure line. Okay, this nice red line. Pressure-nya selalu along that line, and that's what makes it smooth. Jadi shape-nya itu bukan segitiga ya. Shape-nya bukan segitiga, shape-nya juga bukan kotak, shape-nya adalah involute. And that creates that smooth power transfer. So it's a spatial mathematical shape. Okay, this is the pressure angle here. There. Okay, the gear contact is always made along this line. The shape of the involute also varies by the number of teeth on a gear. Once you have a larger number of teeth, the shape of the involute approaches a triangle. And if your number of teeth is less, then the shape is more like this, and they usually make an undercut so that dia nggak tabrakan. These are just some tooth geometry. I'm gonna skip some of these. Here is your rack and pinion. In a rack and pinion, the pinion has an involute profile, but the rack has a straight teeth like this. Remember, a rack is pretty much a spur gear with a diameter of infinity, right? If you think of a gear, you make it bigger and bigger and bigger. Eventually, it's as big as this Earth, right? If you look at the Earth, it looks flat, but it's not flat. I'm sorry for those of you who believe in flat Earth theory. Okay, it's not flat, but it's a very large diameter, right? If it's so large, then it looks like flat. And that's exactly what this rack is. The rack is pretty much a spur gear, the pitch diameter of infinity. And so remember, as the number of teeth grows, the involute profile approaches a triangle profile. And so here you go. The rack then has almost like a triangle profile. Here is your internal teeth. They're shaped kind of an inverse of the involute. Yeah, let's skip some of these. Interference. Okay. Here you have to take into consideration when you have a gear tooth so terlalu sedikit ya, when your number of gear teeth is too small, you can have what is called a teeth interference. A teeth interference is when you make unintended contact like this. These are unintended contact, and they make contact in contradiction to one another. Okay, harusnya kan kita make contact in the pressure line, right? And then there is an additional contact where it's not supposed to be. So that is called the interference, gear interference. Jadi kamu nggak boleh number of teeth-nya terlalu sedikit. Tentu aja a ridiculous example is when you have, say, 5 teeth gitu kan. That's ridiculous. But what is the number of teeth, minimum number of teeth to be acceptable? Well, the answer is it depends on your max gear ratio. So if your gear ratio is say 2, okay, my gear ratio is 2, then I cannot have this. I have to be at least here. The pinion, P stands for pinion, G is gear. Remember, pinion is a small guy, gear is the bigger guy. Okay, so the minimum number of gears for the small gear, okay, pinion and gear. The minimum number of teeth for the pinion is 15. If you have 15 as the pinion, your maximum gear ratio is 3. Okay. So, or the opposite, right? I mean, you can think of it like if your gear ratio is 1:2, then you wanna at least be 15. Okay. So we'll do more of these in the calculation later on. If your pressure angle is 25 degree, is a different table. This is for 20-degree pressure angle. This will be used in the calculation later on. Okay, this is also calculation. So let's save that for the next session. Lastly, I want to show you a differential video. Kind of nice for you who love cars. Gears differential. Where is my differential? Huh, it's gone. Okay.
Differential.
I'm gonna send you the link via chat. It's 5 minutes. Go ahead and play the video. We'll talk again in 5 minutes or so. Everybody finish the video?
Udah.
Udah, Pak.
Okay. Ada pertanyaan untuk videonya?
Itu Pak yang
Nggak ada pertanyaan. Aman.
Tadi ada yang mau nanya?
yang spidernya itu Pak, dia bisa mutar itu gara-gara apa ya Pak?
Simply karena dia ditaruh di axis. Jadi spider ini dia bisa berputar karena dia bisa berputar. Jadi bukan spidernya yang memutar ya. Yang memutar ini adalah ini. The big bevel gear. Ya. Ini yang berputar kan? Lalu dia jadi mendorong si spider gear ke sana. Holdernya yang didorong. Spider gear-nya jadi berputar. Ya kan? It's a bit tricky to imagine.
Yang bikin dia belok ke kiri ke kanannya itu Pak, kan si spider ini dia rotate, ada spinnya itu Pak.
Iya. Jadi spidernya itu spinningnya jadi beda karena left and right-nya beda. Tapi dua-duanya tetap mendapatkan, dua-duanya tetap bergerak.
Yang ngebuat spinnya si spider siapa Pak?
Tidak digerakkan. Jadi spider yang kuning ini tidak digerakkan. Dia itu bergerak karena kiri dan kanan berbeda geraknya. Ada yang bisa bantu jelasin?
Oh iya, karena roda depan yang ini ya Pak, yang bikin dia belok.
Karena keadaan mobil kamu lagi berbelok. Ya, jadi keadaan mobil kamu lagi berbelok, mau nggak mau, selama ban mobil kamu tidak selip sama aspal, pasti kiri dan kanan RPM-nya beda dong. Karena aspalnya, ya gitu kan, karena aspalnya, karena kamu sedang berbelok. Karena kamu sedang berbelok, roda kiri dan roda kanan RPM-nya pasti beda. Unless kamu selip di aspalnya, tapi kan tidak. Dengan asumsi kamu tidak selip di aspalnya, maka shaft kiri ini, ya kan, pakai mouse saja ya, shaft kiri ini sama shaft biru yang kanan berbeda RPM-nya. Nah, karena perbedaan itu, gear kuning ini berputar. Tapi putarannya itu tidak ada torsi, dia hanya berputar saja gitu. Dia hanya speed difference-nya saja. Ada beberapa orang yang open differential-nya di last nih, di antara kuning sama biru.
Iya Pak, bener. Biar sama muter.
Nah, kalau di last apa yang terjadi?
Bisa cekit-cekit, Pak. Bisa cekit-cekit.
Tapi gampang patah asnya Pak.
Iya, biasanya buat drag race. Karena
Atau
drag race kan
ngepot,
kamu
Pak,
nggak
ngepot.
belok-belok.
Buat ngepot bener juga bisa.
Iya, cuman itu sih cara yang salah buat ngepot. Biasanya orang di las, ya kuning sama birunya itu dengan tujuan buat drag race. Nah, drag race tidak belok-belok kan? Kalau drag kan?
Iya Pak.
Jadi dia tidak memerlukan differential. Pokoknya kiri dan kanan most of the time, 99% of the time akan bergerak dengan RPM yang sama. So you don't need any differential. Dengan kamu las, kamu tidak ada kemungkinan satunya slip. Nah, kalau kamu open differential seperti ini, bukan limited slip ya, itu beda lagi ceritanya. Bisa panjang. Tapi dengan open differential, kalau satu roda slip, yang sini tiba-tiba bergeraknya pelan. Karena semua torsinya hilang ke sini. Nah, you don't want that to happen during a drag race. Right? Torsi kamu tiba-tiba jadi turun gitu. Nah, dengan kamu las, torsi kamu pokoknya terbagi dua, no matter what. Gitu kan, no matter what, pokoknya torsinya selalu even, kiri dan kanan. Memang kamu belok jadi susah, cuman kan drag race tidak belok. Nah, makanya mereka well. Solusinya apa untuk sports car yang tidak mau di weld tapi kalau selip juga nggak mau kehilangan torsi? Nah, itu yang namanya
LSD Pak.
LSD. Nah, LSD itu basically, coba ya saya cari. Nah, di dalam LSD, what they do, nanti kamu googling aja YouTube videonya. Tapi saya jelasin secara singkat di sini. What they do is basically antara yang kanan dan yang kiri mereka join. Mereka join pakai coupling. Nah, coupling antara kiri dan kanan ini itu harus bisa bergerak tapi juga ada connection. Kalau yang murah LSD-nya itu pakai viscous coupling. Jadi semacam ada torque converter di antara kiri dan kanan. Jadi ada fluid connection. Jadi kalau yang kanan mulai spinning, tapi spinning di tempat ya, kayak lagi snow misalnya. Lalu dia akan berputar, tapi karena ada viscous coupling, fluid coupling, as yang kanan akan membantu as yang kiri untuk berputar juga, gitu. Jadi LSD viscous ya, viscous LSD itu the cheaper version. Kalau yang lebih mahal, Audi itu punya yang namanya Torsen.
Kayak torque touring gitu ya Pak, yang muter, ngatur gitu ya?
Dia ada mekanisme yang lebih kompleks lagi, which is very cool actually, if you want to learn it. Ini ada di sebelah kanan nih, saya langsung klik aja. Hold on.
Torsen is a trademark of the JTEC Corporation. The Torsen differential has many patented components and so the engine power received by.
Jadi kalau Torsennya Audi itu ada this additional 2 screw gear. Jadi instead of a spider gear, dia modelnya pakai screw.
Is transferred to the worm wheels.
pakai spider gearnya berbentuk screw gear. Nah, screw gear ini akan memultiply dari yang kanan ke yang kiri. Jadi yang kanan akan membantu yang kiri berputar dengan satu rasio berdasarkan torque-nya. Jadi makanya torsion torsion stands for torque sensing. A very beautiful technology. Okay, so berdasarkan torque, kontras antara torque kiri dan kanan, dia akan transfer that. Jadi very beautiful. It works flawlessly. All mechanical, no electrical. Ada juga yang electrical LSD, kayaknya ada deh sekarang. Couplingnya itu pakai electromagnetic clutch. Something like that. Ada pertanyaan atau diskusi lagi?
Aman, Pak. Aman.
Yeah, so differential is invented a long time ago by the Chinese, I think. Ever heard of the south pointing chariot? South pointing chariot itu south pointing chariot will always point to the same direction no matter where your chariot turns. Ini saya coba play aja ya, mungkin nggak lancar tapi saya coba. Okay, see that? Okay, you got a differential mechanism actually on the bottom that actually compensates for that. So the guy on the top will always point to the same absolute position no matter where the chariot turns. Makes a good compass, right? So you're not losing direction. Cool stuff. Kalau ada yang mau bikin prototipe-nya seru juga nih buat demonstration di kelas.
Buat mainan anak kecil tuh, Pak.
Kenapa?
Buat mainan anak kecil.
Keren ini. This is how differentials are first used. Siapa bisa kepikir? Okay. I think that's good enough for today's session. Next week we'll continue on some gear calculation. I got a few, one on compound gear, yang two-stage reduction itu. The other one is on planetary gear sets. Okay.